Hi, I'm Ella Hooper and you're watching AMH TV.
Okay, so whilst researching for this interview, I basically discovered this is your first ever solo project, which is hard to believe. How come it's only taken till now to do something by yourself?
It's only taken 15 years. I don't know what I've been doing. I don't know, actually. Doing a solo record has been something that's been on the back burner. I mean, in the back of my mind, I've always written songs that are not right for the bands I've been in. I thought, no, that's just either doesn't fit with the genre that I'm doing at the moment, or it's too personal of a story, or I'm just not ready to share that. And then as I got older and started, you know, getting more hungry for new experiences, I thought, ooh, solo album time. You know, I've got these stories now accumulating, and then after thinking about it for a good 5-6 years, it all happened in a rush, and I suddenly had to make it, and I wanted to make it, and I needed to get it out, and then it happened, you know, within the space of a year. I decided that's what I was doing, and that I wasn't gonna, you know, make another record with my brother Jesse. It was quite a big decision, and yeah, it was very liberating when I finally chose to do it.
So with your upcoming album, did your brother hear any of these songs and go, oh, hang on, how come you didn't use any of these with us? Or
not exactly. I kind of, some of them were probably like ones he'd rejected, so he would have heard a few of them, but he would have agreed, I think, that they weren't band material, that they were solo material. We just seem to know, like Jesse, my brother, and I have a very similar musical sense, and when we're writing together, it's so easy because we have that shared opinion and that shared ear. And then he just agreed. He's like, yeah, no, that sounds like you should go and do this. And there is one co-written song with he and I on the new record, In Tongues. It's up the back. It's up the very last track.
So tell us about the album. Everywhere I've read, it's very dark and personal, I believe.
It is dark and personal and a bit spiky, and, you know, kind of dealing with things that aren't perfect and dealing with transitions, which can always be tricky, you know, going from girl to woman, or going from in a band to solo artist, or in a relationship to not in a relationship. These are transitions that I'm kind of dealing with on the record. And yeah, I wanted to look at the stuff that's a bit bumpy and a bit lumpy, but there is also a bit of fun and a bit of play on the record, and I also take the piss out of a few things.
So listening to your new single, Low High, it seems like it could be perfectly suited to, say, a Tarantino film or something.
Yes!
Has anyone picked it up for a feature film yet, or as a soundtrack for anything?
Not yet, but Tarantino, I'm available. You can have the song, you can even have it for free. I know I'm a huge Tarantino fan, and I also love film noir and graphic novels and manga. I've always had an interest in very kind of highly contrasted, stark art forms, so I'm really enjoying delving into that myself as well.
And so the band that features on that track, Graveyard Train, perfect choice obviously. It just come about organically, or was it something you sourced out for them to just appear on it at last minute?
It kind of came about really organically because I know the guys, I know the Graveyard Train boys, and have for years, and we've hung out for many years in North Melbourne. We're kind of neighbours and friends, and then they played my birthday party, funnily enough, years and years ago. I think it was like in my backyard at my 25th. They were there playing on hay bales, and then all of a sudden they became, you know, well, not all of a sudden, they just became bigger and bigger, and I thought it was so fantastic. And I've sung on a few of their records I'm kind of one of the graveyard girls that does hoots and hollers and spooky sounds on a few of their records, and I thought, time to return the favour. And Low High was the perfect track. We designed the part to have this kind of big burly chain gang-ish sound, but we didn't want it to be too, you know, oh, we're trying to be a chain gang, we're trying to be African American. We also wanted to give it a shanty vibe, and, you know, the Graveyard Train boys are a little bit sea-legged, so they were perfect guys to call.
Have you been listening to a lot of blues in the lead up to this album? I suppose it's sort of got that vibe to it where that would have influenced it a little bit.
I always listen to a lot of blues. I must say, like, my record collection is mostly stuff from before the 60s and before the 70s. Like, I really love old rootsy music, and I like to go back to the source of where the stuff I love nowadays actually comes from. So there is blues in tone and vibe. I think Low High is probably the bluesiest sounding track on the record, and then it goes out into other sonic areas, more like kind of 90s references like grunge and trip hop as well.
And so you have a second single on the way soon, is that correct? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, the second single that's in the works right now is called Hexane, or Hexane if you pronounce it right, and it means witches. And
I couldn't pronounce it.
Yeah, Hexane. Hexane, it's actually the title of a famous old Germanic film. Very early filmmaking, you know, lots of kind of prop horses and stuff like that, but it still happens to be one hell of a scary flick, and it kind of got a revival during the Beat generation. I think William S. Burroughs narrated his own version of Hexane, and the track again is about dark forces and being taken over, and this one's a little bit more rebellious. This is a bit more like, if you put a hex on me, I'll put a hex on you, so watch them out.
So you've done the whole pop punk thing, folk thing. Is this a true indicator of what you're really into, and basically does this express you more as a person than your previous works?
It's a difficult thing with me as an artist because I'm into so much. Like, I have a very broad range of interests and a very broad range of musical tastes as well. Like, my record collection has everything from hip hop to folk to pop punk to the the Delta blues, which I'm really interested in as well. So it's not that it's more me, but it's me now. I'm constantly moving through these phases. You know, when I was 15 and when I was writing for Killing Heidi, high school and, you know, punky kind of teenage angst feelings were what I was working with. And now that I'm got the late 20s angst and the early 30s angst, it's a different kind of, yeah, I guess I'm looking to those more organic genres to express that.
So from being in the music industry for so long, you've seen the internet just evolve and evolve, and now the use of social media. Is that something you're very keen on, and is it something that you're going to use a lot coming up?
I'm loving, like, basically getting to know the internet. Yeah, when I started as a muso, we really didn't utilise it much at all, and now I've seen it become this vast and essential part of being a working musician, and I love communicating with my fans that way. I do it pretty bloody regularly now, and I'm getting a really good dialogue happening with them, and I think some social media kind of guru told me I had a really good hit back rate or whatever. There's an actual conversation going on. It's not just about the number of likes you get, it's about how in-depth that conversation is and how much people share things, and yeah, I'm really enjoying that, and so far so good.
So obviously with the music's the main focus here, but what else are you up to on the side at the moment?
I'm up to a lot. I have several kind of media jobs that I'm working, which I'm loving, which are a couple of radio shows for Radar, a TV show for Radar. I'm also working with Telstra on their music program, the Telstra Road to Discovery. I'm starting to work with Mushroom Music Publishing on a few interesting things they've got going on, and I am making my own band merch and t-shirts. I'm blogging, doing creative writing at my blog Lost Clues to Future News, and sure, there's something else in there. Learning how to cook, no, not yet.
Can you tell us a little bit about that blog? Because I noticed there's a lot of writing, a lot of poems and a lot of sort of pieces, I suppose. Is that something that you're interested in as well?
Yeah, I've always loved writing. In fact, I see myself as a writer almost before singing and presenting, certainly, and all that other stuff that I do. At the core of it is words and my love of words and expressing myself and playing around with it. So I think in the future I'm gonna delve even deeper into just my writing sans music as well.
So would that see your solo project, I suppose, evolve into sort of like a multimedia art sort of whole collective, or?
Yeah, I see my solo project and the whole In Tongues album and this phase as a great chance to create something that isn't just about getting singles on the radio or playing a gig at the local pub. I would love it to be a bit more of a holistic art piece. I know that sounds really wanky, but that's what I'm enjoying, getting into the visual side of things, getting into the written word and the poetry that's coming along that's kind of tied in with the album as well. So definitely.
And so because this work's all independent, where's the best place we can buy your music from and the upcoming album?
Good old iTunes. I think it's all up there to be had, and Spotify, and the regular online outlets is where I'm selling the music so far. And I do plan on having a few. I might put a piece on my website where we can actually contact me directly for things like merch and stuff like that, but I'm not there just yet.
Is there a set date yet, or you can't say it?
There is a projected area of time. Is that loose enough for you?
Oh well, it's whatever you can tell us.
Being independent is that you're not locked into a date. You know, whenever it feels right, we'll release the album.
Okay, well, thanks for speaking to AMH TV today.
Thanks, guys.
To all